I rang my insurance company, Lumley Insurance, on the 27th of April to follow up about my car accident claim. I was very distressed during this conversation as my insurance company informing me with the wrong information. In my conversation, they claimed that I had third-party insurance. I said to them that I need to know how I can press charges with the police, as I had reason to believe that the guy who hit me was paid to hit me. I spoke with Natasha on the phone. The email dated 28th of April 2010. So I submitted evidence. There were evidence submitted with the protected disclosure. Most of them were all documentations of emails. There were witnesses to these conversations in the office. They are as follows. So here are the list of names of witnesses that were in the office at this time. Kevin Murray, Kim Chang Sao, Louise Holloway, Genevieve Johnson, June Tupei, Liz Motu, and probably more. Kevin Murray came up to me afterwards and said he heard my conversation and asked if I was all right. I told him that I was going through a lot at the moment and told him my driver's license was stolen. And then I was in the car accident that happened. Like everything happened all at once and quite consistently. But this is how it was for me in the moment. Going back to the car accident, I know that the insurance companies are supposed to take over the car accident. As it turns out, the car accident, it was definitely the other person at fault. The driver didn't have his driver's license on him, and his car was deregistered. And he also had a girlfriend with him, a passenger. I think her name was, if I can remember rightly, it was Caitlin. At first, because I was in shock, it happened quite quickly. And I was in shock. Everything just happened so fast. The day was a really nice sunny morning. I just dropped off my youngest son to Cowston Boys. I had taken annual leave off and I was doing fundraising for a hip hop group. So I'd taken off the day, specifically that day, to help out. I slowed down at the red lights and I went to go to turn right. There was no reason for him to hit me, but he must have been speeding because he hit me quite hard. And he hit me from the back and it caused a whiplash to my neck. So I ended up with a sprain, a vertical sprain on my spine. Yeah, it was pretty bad. And I was on ACC for a good couple of months, but it has never come right. So that's what happened from the car accident. We swapped details, and then the insurance company did their bit. And if you noticed over here, I wasn't happy at this time. The insurance company had said that I had a third-party insurance, but from the first time I owned a car, like a vehicle, when I got my driver's license and I bought my first car, I have always had full cover insurance. Every single insurance companies that I've had, I was really responsible, sort of an individual. I always service my car every 6 months and then warrant and everything, because it was my main asset, and I needed it with the family. I've always had full cover insurance for all my vehicles that I've had, and most of them were HP, and then I've paid them off myself while I was working. So I've actually got excellent credit. But at this point in time, I was even having problems with the banks tampering with my personal information. So they were causing me stress, and I was trying to deal with all this while I was working, ringing from the office in between the breaks, trying to deal with the car accident and the insurance policy. I was really upset because they were mucking me around about my insurance, and they said, no, my insurance is not a third party. I've always had full cover insurance. So there was all that kind of going on. They were causing me stress, and the call centers were like, giving me wrong information. But it was all the time, it was continuous. So, in between work and in my lunch breaks, when I was out of the office, when I could, I had to deal. This is the only way I could deal with these sort of incidents going on. Personal, it is personal. When you finish work, everything's closed. So you've got to do what you got to do in between work. All this was going on. The other thing I found that was going on with my personal profile was that different agencies that I was a client to were messing up my name, keep getting it wrong. I had already had a name change, and I already changed it to, with them. So they were deliberately, they were always constantly making mistakes. It's either they spelt the name wrong, or they had the wrong name. They had my married name, not my maiden name. So I was literally at this point of time in my space, I was definitely being cyber attacked. Keeping in mind, I'm client harassed at work. We've got cameras in the office. They know when to ring, when not to ring. So these are the kind of things that I've been subject to when I lost my privacy. Some of the problems I had within my workplace are as follows. Staff working together to set me up. Email dated 4th of December 2010. So I put proof of the emails because the cyberbullying was in the evidence was in the emails. You could just tell by the tone of the email that there was an alliance building up. And they were kind of working together and making things difficult. They were egging each other on, and I didn't find it funny, but there was definite indication in the emails that certain staff were, they were bullying, and then they're supporting each other, and they all behave like they weren't, but they were actually bullying me. The evidence was in the emails that I submitted with the protected disclosure. So I'll carry on. There was a confirmation in staff tea room, and there were witnesses in this incident. Those I can recall was in the staff room was as follows: June Tupe, Evelyn Holmes, Naomi Johnson, Lynette Vipon. So I'd actually listed of other staff that were actually witness to some of the incidents that were going on, or comments that were made, anything that was said that didn't feel like it was a professional conversation, and it was more of a little bit of a bullying tactic, or like belittling, or just a put down, or victimization. So that's what was happening. So basically I named all these people. I wasn't naming them as victims, so just as witnesses, or who were actually in the office when these things were happening. No response to email request. I was either getting blocked or with the cyberbullying that got dangerously, really ridiculously, just so unsafe in every level, is that you email people and they don't respond, or they leave you out. They were leaving me out of emails. It just was not funny. It was just a game to them. It was very dangerous for me. The emails and the date of the emails, and some of them I highlighted the evidence. It was very clear. It was a very clear evidence of cyberbullying in the office. My work ethics undermined because of gossip and slandering. I just put in the email, like I'd already mentioned. I was trying to prove my case of, the cyberbullying that was going on within the office. Phone calls monitored and people listening into my conversations. I was cloned. I was literally cloned. I felt like I was never alone, or whatever I was subject to. They just all took turns walking around like zombies, but really they're actually stalking me. So carry on. Deliberately left out a team or work activities, emails. This has been happening quite consistently. One recent incident I can recall are as follows. I was left out of Pōwhiri with John Key, who was the Prime Minister at this time, was present at the Waitiri Marae. They started leaving me out of incidents or of activities that were going on. Sometimes things were going on in the office. They left me out deliberately with the emails, and then I'd find out from somebody else about these things. The other thing in my complaint I had put in about the proxy hacking, where I knew people were hacking into my computer, even in court, and my emails. They were into everything. They were reading my personal emails. So eventually, after consistency of complaining, so they eventually, befriended people that I knew, and then they embedded themselves, and that's what happened. I was upset about being left out and no one informing me, as I was part of the Kapahaka group. Louise approached me about the Pōwhiri in the office, and I told her I was absolutely upset about how no one bothered to ask me. And then there were witnesses in the office. It sounds really picky and everything, but it was consistent. The problem was they were definitely isolating. They were leaving me out, treating me invisible, and I just felt like they were taking me, destroying my reputation, and all personally working trafficking. That's what it is now. I can confirm trafficking in person. They all work together to ruin my reputation, my career, and eventually railroad me out of my job. And then I've got Liz Murtu, June Tupe, Genevieve Johnson, and probably more. These are all the people that were in the office at the time. I have reason to believe that my manager, Louise Holloway, has been invading my privacy by having access into my computer, have altered and deleted letters from my personal documents in my file without my permission. I also reason to believe someone also has access to my CMS system and tampering with my system. So Yeah, honestly, I'm telling you, it was hell. They were playing mind games. I'll turn my back and then they'll go behind my back and do something, but it just kept happening. And I was now looking back, they were trying to make out I'm mentally insane or something like that, but I was being cyberbullying, and this is how it just got worse and worse and worse, and the alliance got stronger. I was definitely outnumbered. It was so dangerous. I have reason to believe that Louise Holloway abuses her manager position to undermine the staff and to use them to find out information about me or ask me personal information. What I mean by this, even at this time from 2006, I had reason to believe that staff were recording me and asking me questions. I know without a shadow of doubt that's illegal, but that's what was going on. They were recording my every word, catching my every word. That's what was happening. And I knew some of the staff were just spying on me. I have no reason why, but they were breaking the law. I also put that in the protected disclosure. I can't have personal call as these calls are monitored, setting me up so they can look into my diary. I have had my personal gear stolen in the office, sunglasses, my driver's license. So I was going through where things were going missing, and then they'll come back or they never come back. So things were missing. And honestly, I'm just one of these people. I'm a quiet worker. I just go in there, do my bit, and then I leave. But they were literally playing mind games and taking turns, making my life a living hell. Continuing, they just had full access to everything I was doing. I was literally being cloned and substitute. So there have been gossip and rumors about me that I was paranoid, where I was advised by my manager at the time that I needed to go for an assessment with the mental health unit. That's when I'm talking about the report that they sent me in 2009. I told them I wasn't, but was advised that they can actually make me go. I went to the assessment and it was confirmed that there was nothing wrong with me. The bullying has been so bad that even other stakeholders have been aware of it. So there were people in the office who witnessed what was going on and didn't like what was going on, and I think a lot of people were just scared for their own jobs. I haven't mentioned in here that I was poisoned, but I knew I was, and I still am very sure to this day I was poisoned at this time, 2010. This letter I've just read was the very first letter and description of the workplace bullying, the protected disclosure, and of course the car accident.